Are you outraged? I'm outraged because we have a crisis in Washington, D.C. They're trying to overthrow the President of the United States. And he's all alone in fighting it. He's fighting against the Mueller unconstitutional, out-of-control investigation. And that's why the left doesn't want him to tweet, because that's his best vehicle, at least currently, for standing up for the rule of law. The problem is he's all alone in Washington, D.C. Sure, folks like Sean Hannity, Judicial Watch is trying to advocate for the rule of law. But no one in Congress is asking Mueller tough questions. Certainly the media want to see Trump knocked out of office. So it's up to you to defend the rule of law and defend the President of the United States from the lawless attacks on his presidency and our Constitution. We can make a difference. Hillary Clinton is not the president. We started asking questions about Benghazi. We found smoking gun documents that led to the Select Committee. But we said, where are Hillary Clinton's emails? And I thought, well, maybe she didn't use emails. But we checked. And that led to the uncovering of the Clinton email scandal. So little old Judicial Watch took on the State Department and the Justice Department and Hillary Clinton and exposed one of the greatest scandals of our time. Now, I know a lot of you would want to see Hillary Clinton prosecuted for what she did, right? But when you think about it, the American people sat as a grand jury on Election Day in 2016, and they indicted her, didn't they? But she knew she was under the gun, and that's why they began spying on and targeting Donald Trump. First his campaign, and then his presidency. If you want to investigate Russia collusion, then you investigate Hillary Clinton, her people working with Russia intelligence to dig up fake dirt on Donald Trump to give to the FBI, the corrupt FBI under James Comey, that misused it to target on and spy on Trump's team. That is the basis for the Mueller investigation, and that's why it needs to be shut down. I was at the hearing the other day with General Flynn. What a miscarriage of justice that is. This man was ambushed by the Comey FBI. I don't think he lied. But he was unfairly targeted by people trying not only to get at Flynn because he was known as someone who was a critic of Barack Obama, but obviously get through the president. James Comey, Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, Sally Yates, the holdover Department of Justice official from the Obama administration. The Flynn railroading is a deep state special. And if the judge doesn't want to throw it out, the President of the United States should pardon General Flynn. And I will also recommend the President do the following: release all the records. The deep state thrives in secrecy. They don't want you to know what they're up to. We already caught them with this shady FISA warrants, these illegal spy applications that were full of lies designed to mislead the courts into allowing spying on the Trump team. The president released part of it. There's more to be released. Transparency is your friend. That's what Judicial Watch is doing. We have over 30 Freedom of Information Act lawsuits in federal court trying to get answers about the deep state efforts to overthrow the President of the United States. And I don't use the term overthrow lightly. Think of what happened with the Kavanaugh hearings. Remember all those violent protests in the Senate? They were trying to overthrow the Senate to stop Kavanaugh from being appointed to the Supreme Court. Thankfully, the American people said no, and the Senate said yes to Justice Kavanaugh, who's now a member of the Supreme Court. The president has now 2 appointees on the Supreme Court. The rule of law is our friend. It protects our liberties. That's why the left is trying to undo it by attacking the president with this lawless investigation, with the smearing and violent intimidation campaign against the senators over Judge Kavanaugh. And I know you see this sort of intimidatory tactics on the Hill, on your college campuses and high schools, don't you? Don't you? But we have to defend the rule of law. We cannot meet violence with violence. We have to stand fast for the rule of law and hold accountable those who break the rules. So when Maxine Waters calls for attacking cabinet officials of the president, the House needs to take action. We filed an ethics complaint. Where is the ethics in the House? We know where it is. Cory Booker, remember Spartacus? He broke the rules in the Senate, releasing confidential information. Where's the rule of law there? And by the way, Congress is very much interested, or it will be, now that the Democrats are controlling the House, in getting documents from the president under subpoena power and such. I've talked about the lawsuits we have against the executive branch for documents. Congress is not subject to that law. It's about time that Congress subjects itself to the same transparency law the president has to follow. And you know why they don't want you to know what they're up to, don't you? You've heard about those sexual harassment claims they've used your money to settle. If we had a Freedom of Information Act law, we'd know what was going on. And I want to talk about something important as well, because we're now in the heart of it here in Florida. Election integrity. The left wants to be able to steal elections. And the way they do that is by making sure we don't need voter ID, by making sure that voting rolls are dirty, allowing people potentially illegally to vote. Why on earth would you be opposed, for instance, to making sure that only citizens can vote? So, you know, you can have campaigns, you can go out and vote, you can listen to commercials. But if the elections are dirty, then it doesn't matter, does it? Then it doesn't matter, does it? We need to protect our country from these efforts, as I put it, to undermine the rule of law. They're doing it against the president. They tried to against the Senate, and they're doing it in our elections nationwide. You saw it here in Florida. In Arizona, we found aliens registering to vote in Arizona. I don't know if they voted, but they registered in large numbers. In California, they had ballot harvesting. What's ballot harvesting? It'd be you going collecting ballots from whoever and then delivering them somewhere else. Imagine the temptation for fraud on there. We've got to pay attention to election security because the George Soros-funded left is obsessed with it, and we have to fight it. We have to defend the rule of law. Immigration. We need a wall. And what a failure of Republican leadership in the House and the Senate that they couldn't give the president a wall. But in the meantime, I've got a really good immigration reform idea. And it's very controversial in Washington, D.C. It's called Enforce the Law. If you're an illegal immigrant, you shouldn't be here. It's simple. But now the laws are being abused to allow aliens to come into the United States under these asylum laws. Congress can't even fix that. And it's leading to caravans and human destruction in Mexico and Central America as people hurt themselves trying to take advantage of our lax borders. If you want to protect illegal aliens, if you believe in their health, safety, and welfare, then you want to end illegal immigration because it places them at risk. We should be unapologetic for standing for the rule of law on immigration. It protects Americans, it protects citizens here in the United States, and it also protects aliens abroad. So stand up when you're called a racist for defending the rule of law. Because they don't care about these people that are getting hurt trying to get into the country. The children who are being sacrificed to get into the country illegally. All for political gain. Now, Judicial Watch is suing these sanctuary cities. We could have a wall 100 feet high. But as long as if you get across that wall, you're here free and clear thanks to dangerous sanctuary policies that aid and abet illegal immigration and allow criminal aliens to get out of jail without being deported, that wall won't work or won't work as well as it needs to. So we're suing San Francisco. And we're going to trial next year. Boy, you know, these are really silly little issues we're talking about here. Protecting the president from a coup, holding the former Secretary of State accountable for mishandling classified information, defending our country from illegal immigration invasions, making sure our elections aren't stolen. Wouldn't it be nice if we had more of that being talked about in Washington, D.C.? I know you care about it. I know the American people care about it. And that's why Judicial Watch cares about it. We're your watchdog in Washington. We're the way to hold the politicians accountable to the rule of law. We go into court on equal footing with our government to make sure they follow the rules, and we do it with your support. Thank you, and I want to take some questions. Staff will come to you, I think, with the microphone.
I'm coming right here.
Right? Yes.
This guy right here.
Hi, my name's Casey Butler. I'm a sophomore in high school. And what I wanted to say is, what do you think that this next generation can do to battle the growing leftist aristocracy that's kind of taking root in Congress and in Washington, D.C.?
Well, all you can do, it's a kind of a basic term, but think about it. All you can do is what you can do. Can you go out and vote? Can you go out and knock on doors? Can you write letters to the editor? Can you be active online? Can you educate your fellow students and neighbors, friends, and family about what's happening? Can you run for office? Can you support groups like Turning Point USA? Can you support Judicial Watch? You've got to do what you can do. And it may sound simple and silly, but I can tell you in Washington, D.C., do you think Congress does what it can do? Do you think the liberal media does what it can do? Of course not. If we're going to save the country, we've got to do it. Okay. Last question.
Over here, sorry.
What?
I'm from Northern California, and my question is, we've had a case of, like you said, we had voter harvesting in California, and we want to really, no matter what we do or try, and all of our patriots in California, we try to take it back as much as we can, do what we can. Now, what can we do to take back California in terms of voter fraud? What are the possibilities of defeating the liberals in California?
You got to make sure the elections are run honestly. To the degree the law encourages fraud like ballot harvesting, you can work to undo the law. Judicial Watch right now is investigating ballot harvesting in California. Judicial Watch right now is suing in California, both California and Los Angeles, to force them to clean up the rolls. If they got more people on the rolls than are actually living there, don't you think that's a problem? That's an opportunity for fraud. So support our work and do your own activism and hold your local elected officials to account, because even in California, the local boards of elections listen to the citizens. You can ask questions about ballot security and voter security and fraud and ask them what they're doing to curtail it. Support voter ID. I think only 10 states in the country have a serious voter ID law. In Washington, D.C., you know what I do when I go to vote? I say, my name's Tom Fitton. Oh, let me see here. And I sign my name. It's very secure, isn't it? Of course not. The president's right. I go to buy a pack of gum. I'm sometimes asked for my ID if I'm using my credit card. Why don't we require IDs for voters? And this is an issue that everyone agrees on, because when you have voter ID, you have increased turnout. And don't let anyone tell you it's racist, because those hurt most by voter fraud are people in minority communities. And when voter ID and election integrity is increased, minority turnout increases, because they know their vote counts. And I want your vote to count. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.